Hi, everybody! Woo! Welcome back to the Bachelor Tea-Cat, where we dish all things Bachelor related. So, first, wanted to start off by saying our dearest apologies for the delay for this video this week. We did have family matters that we had to attend to. So, double feature this week. Hopefully, everything will be good. Catching you up on this week's episode of The Bachelor.
Well, first, we're going to start with recapping the episode, but over the last week or so, there's been some major info being talked about, discussed, etc. So stay tuned to the end, or if you want to just fast forward to the end to hear all the gossip, we'll touch on that before we wrap. But jumping into this episode, it's leading from last week's, because they just like to keep us on those cliffhangers, which is really starting to irk my nerves. We end it with Katie having a discussion with Matt about the drama, and she essentially lays it all on Victoria. I feel like she didn't really lay it on anyone else that bad. Well, who?
She didn't say any names.
I thought she said Victoria. How did he know it was Victoria?
Because talking to other people.
So, okay, well, let's backtrack really quick. So, yes,
I digress.
Does leave off on that cliffhanger of what the gossip being spread about Brittany and how that's an issue and how he should just kind of address everybody as a whole about the toxic nature in the house, right? So we see the episodes start with the cocktail hour before the rose ceremony and him addressing all the girls, saying how I'm not gonna
he ain't about that life.
He ain't about that life. Bullying is not going to be tolerated. You're not going to bully anyone who gets to my heart. So this ends here. If anyone wants to talk about it, let's talk about it, essentially, right?
Yeah, and I think after he made that statement, that's when names started being called, because he was having one-on-ones, and whoever was upset was saying who exactly caused them that to be that way. So, yeah, go on, Alex.
Question. So, yeah, I mean, as we know, as a viewer right now, we don't know that he knows who it is, right? And the girls who are pulling him aside, Anna, when she pulls him aside, she's pretty much telling her, hey, it was me. And I'm defending my case now. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, but Brittany, he's talked to Brittany first. I think he asked to speak with her first, because that's what the rumors were about. And he says, these are rumors that could destroy someone's career, life, apparently, not even knowing what it was that was actually said. So he's like, Brittany, can I talk to you? And then that's when all the girls are kind of shaking in their boots and going around trying to save their own butt, making amends where they can. And when he sits down with Brittany, she tells him, gets choked up about what's been said about her and says, Anna said this about me. She heard these rumors, told everybody, and it's not true. And then that's when Anna's kind of scared, and she's like, this is so completely out of character for me. I can't believe it. This could jeopardize my chance of being here. And it did. She went home. But yeah, I don't think anyone watching cared or not if Anna stayed or left. I think she buried herself in a hole. You are already complaining that you don't have a connection, that you haven't had time with him, and you choose to start unnecessary drama in the house, spreading rumors. Of course, he's going to send you home. You had nothing really holding you there. But it's just unfortunate. And then, everyone's just well around to the new girls and being oh my God, if I did anything to make you feel uncomfortable, I am so sorry. It's well, don't do it in the first place.
Right. And I mean, I feel one thing I also want to talk about is just because I even made note of it. Of some girls were saying, some girls were attesting to the environment being toxic. A lot of the new girls, we saw Ryan kind of crying to Matt about everything. And then some girls Chelsea and other girls on the side saying he said that someone said that
the environment's toxic. They're like, I don't think it's toxic, but like, what do you guys think? It's just like, clearly there's like a bunch of flip-flop on what people think is deemed toxic or not. So,
well, I think that also stems from there being so many people there that maybe not everyone is hearing the conversations that are being had, or see, like, they're not on the date, so they're not seeing certain comments that pit the new people against the old people. But some of the rudeness was new to us too, because yes, we've heard Victoria saying all these things about many people. Like, she apologized to Catalina for stealing her crown, and Catalina's like, it's been days and you're just apologizing now for that.
And she's like, I was totally kidding. I would never mean to do that in a malicious way. It was like such a joke.
Even in her interview, she's just like, nothing's ever malicious. Nothing's malicious. That's not an apology. That's you saying literally, oh, I'm sorry if you took it that way. But mainly, I think the reason why he said anything to her is because he had a conversation with Ryan, and Ryan broke down. And this was new to us too, because I didn't remember hearing this conversation, but she was saying how Victoria called her a hoe because she was a dancer, and was saying other things. I don't know exactly, but the whole comment was what really like set him off, and is what he approached Victoria about. He's like, so I've heard like bullying from you about you not being nice to new girls and calling her a hoe. And then she's like, oh, but I was just being like playful or something like that. He's like, in what case scenario was it ever okay to call someone a hoe? And she kind of just like had nothing to say. And he got up and walked away.
I feel like he was like irate. He probably wanted to send her home right then, but producers were like, you must keep her for the ceremony of the roses.
Yeah, I feel like he could have definitely sent a lot of people home that night. And that's what I'm surprised about, I wonder, because they can only show so much drama. Like, what if the girls he sent home that we are shocked about, what if they also, too, were part of the not nice environment?
Bully gate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now going into who ultimately got sent home, I guess we can like segue into like that rose ceremony. Obviously, Victoria gets sent home.
Well,
but it's also
Anna got sent
Anna
home
on the jump.
But then
she said boo, God. And he was like, don't care.
She had no tears. She had absolutely no tears.
I thought she was crying.
She was like, but like crocodile tears, like eyes. Sarah's tears.
Yeah. First off, if I were Anna, I'd feel so embarrassed. Like, I wouldn't even want to cry. Like, you're literally sitting there, and he's like his back slightly turned, and she's just like, "Am I gonna get sent home?" And it's like, yeah.
So was there anyone that you were surprised that went home? That's what I was gonna get into. I literally wrote down 3 people who I was kind of surprised about. Because he kind of cleaned house in a sense. Like, he was like, we're going to clean a little bit.
Mari was one that I was sad about. More so my boyfriend. He was very upset that she left. So he had to pick a new favorite.
Mari and Lauren. Yeah. I don't know. I caught something in the episode. Who's Lauren? So Lauren got a group. Okay. She had like a red dress on, middle part. She's gorgeous. She got a group date rose like really the second episode, like second or third episode. I was surprised about Mari because she just got a group date rose literally like a week ago. So I'm wondering what kind of fell through within that week where she got sent home. So
yeah, that's it. I said all of his, and I think that's like week by week. I'm surprised by a lot of the people he's sending home. Not so much. Is like, oh, why is he sending him home? I think it all just stems from the fact that we're not seeing any of these conversations at all, because a lot of our screen time is consumed by the drama. And it's really unfortunate because the little parts that we do get to see with him are amazing. Like, it seems like he is forming connections, obviously enough to say some things, which we'll touch on later. But it just leaves us questioning at the end of each rose ceremony, like why them? Like why are they staying? Why are they leaving? Because we were literally just not getting anything. And hopefully come next week and hopefully in a few weeks, because we're already at the halfway point. They touched on that multiple times this episode. And I still don't really see anything that's giving me hope.
Yeah, I don't really care about the people he's sending home or whatever. I think, like you said, I care more about them focusing so much on the drama, because for me, it's like, I want to know more about these women. For one, Bachelor in Paradise, I don't know if that's even happening. And two, like, who would I actually want as a bachelorette? Like, I think ultimately, though, it's doing all of the viewers a disservice focusing on this nuisance when even still, I mean, really, I feel the only person I've actually gotten to know are Abigail and Michelle, because they had like, you know, a good date or whatever, and they've focused on these like deeper conversations that they've been having. Everyone else, like, we move into after the rose ceremony, was it Rachel got the date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, the date was cool. It was whatever. They went shopping. They hit it off. They had dinner. It was fine. Like, good date. But even in that date, like, I'm getting no substance. Like, tell me about these women. Tell me about yourself. And that's just been, I feel like, a consistent thing over the last, 5 weeks now. And I'm just missing, like, an emotional connection as a viewer. So it's making it really hard for me to figure out, like, who does he like, actually?
Yeah. I mean, people were really shocked watching. First off, the date. I wasn't a big fan of it. I wouldn't feel comfortable on that kind of date, like getting dressed and prancing around in dresses and having a guy critique how I look. Ill. No, thank you.
Like, where my bitches at? I don't want you here shopping with me.
I literally talked about this with Mel.
Right?
Like, but he was getting dressed up too. Like, I would love to go on a shopping spree with a guy and just be like, "Ooh, do you like this dress? Ooh, do you like this dress?
You're not gonna do those things in the real world. Like, you're gonna take me shopping.
I would.
Spree. I wish. I can't even get my boyfriend to buy me McDonald's. Like, it's difficult. It's a struggle out here. You know?
Okay, but like, I was even gonna say, sorry, not to like kind of almost backtrack. Like, I agree. Like, there wasn't like much substance from that date. But one thing the two things that I kind of got from it was, one, we've heard about like Rachel and her having like trouble with confidence and how she felt like she was very undeserving of that kind of date. But on top of that, even though we're not like really getting to like get to know her more so, or even like map through that date, I wrote down that like I know that he likes her a lot. Like, I could tell that he likes her a lot.
Yeah.
And he was just being like super complimentary.
Well, it was pretty clear with his work.
Yeah, he dropped it. Did he say like, "I'm falling in love"?
Yeah.
Or did she say that? She said first, and he's like, "I feel the same."
Yeah.
It's just so early days.
Can I tell you something? Me too.
But he said that on like every single one-on-one day.
He said that to Michelle as well, didn't he? Like, I'm definitely falling for you.
He said he could see himself falling for her.
Yeah, that was first time even meeting her, really.
I put in quotes, "I'm falling in love with you too." Like, he said, "I'm falling in love with you too."
Verbatim. And then I think what is showing, though, that I appreciate, that gave me like something, is when she was coming back, people were commenting. I think Katie was commenting, other people commented like how big her smile was and how much she like it was enjoying herself. And like, that's nice to see that she's like falling for him, but it just stinks because like I want to be that person.
Now we go into the group date, which is like a farm-esque date. They're milking goats or something, picking up poop, all these things no one really wants to do. MJ tries to, stand out, make herself look like she's a jack of all trades, and just ultimately, I think she like makes herself look stupid because she doesn't want to do any of the stuff that's actually being asked for. She's like, ew, ew, freaking out the whole time, but puts forth an effort. They're doing an egg toss. The egg cracks because she doesn't know how to follow through with her catch. Like, number one rule in egg tossing, you've got to follow through with the catch. And she goes to chase after Matt, and he runs away. And Piper, is that her name? Piper?
Mm-hmm.
Is doing her like confessional, like her one-on-one with the producers. And he runs up on her, and they just like make out. And MJ's like chasing after her. And MJ's just like, oh my God, I had to see this guy, like, whatever.
She was like, that's awkward.
And
make a big.
And Michelle is crying. Michelle starts crying, like, oh, this sucks. Like, we had such a good one-on-one date, and like, this is horrible.
Wait, did Michelle actually cry on that date?
Yeah, she was like around the barn crying.
Well, a lot of girls were upset this week that they didn't get a one-on-one because it is the halfway mark. And especially for people like, I think Abigail voiced this on the date too. Like, she felt like she had such a strong connection in the beginning, and just to go this many weeks without having alone time with him, they're probably all starting to question, like, does he think of me that way? Like, does he even like me? It's you can see why people get so in their head. And then Michelle, her whole thing, kind of similar to Sarah, is you start off so strong with that first one-on-one. And for her, that was the case scenario because she was new. Her first interaction with him was a one-on-one. Then I think after that kind of just falls flat and it's just like disheartening. It's hard to like get back to that level without him having to constantly remind them.
Right.
The conversations for the later that day, I think, was where it got interesting because
Are you talking about like cocktail hour?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He gets a little deeper, I think. He has a more conversation with Abigail, and she opens up to him about her father leaving her and her disability, like her cochlear implant, and how she doesn't want to let him down and her fear of being abandoned.
Shelf talks about like how having kids, like how that trait might be passed down. Mm-hmm. Which I think, I mean, it's a conversation that I think people with a disability, like, they're probably nervous to have with the partners because like it's something that they can't control. Mm-hmm. But that was really brave of her to even talk about that at all with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's just so sad that like that could be a deal breaker for someone. You know what I mean? Like, that just breaks my heart that that's even a conversation she has to have with people. But I think having her here is just opening the eyes for so many people that this is the way someone like her has to date. Like, these are conversations that we are fortunate enough to not have, and he was just so gracious about it. And he's been a class act. I know he doesn't really get a lot of good street cred, if you will, but I feel his approach with the drama and these tough conversations, he's just been so, I think, genuine and also,
open,
relatable in his responses too. Like, he doesn't make it about the problem at hand. He makes it like, well, this is the bigger picture, and like, just know I would never do that either because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and I mean, he comes from that kind of like broken home kind of backstory too, so that is something for like him and Abigail to like now relate to, with each other, and that's just going to strengthen their relationship going further. I mean, like, I agree. I think that he is a class act. Like, what do I say every episode? Like, I love him, but honestly, and I feel like this is why I'm now probably not only Katie but rooting for Abigail more than anybody, because this is somebody who's literally been vulnerable since she's gotten out of the limo, like made her way into that mansion. Like, this is someone who isn't fitting into the drama. Like, you're just seeing her have these like very like raw moments, and that's what I just want to see more of.
And she touched on that too. I think we've had this similar kind of conversation at like Tayshia's season where these guys where you kind of, when you reach a certain week and you have made progress, and so you have to push yourself to open up and to be vulnerable. And I appreciate anybody who's willing to go that extra mile, because you don't have to. And it is live television. Millions of people are watching this. So there is that extra pressure on you as well. It's like, do you bear all to the whole world? And to be able to do that, I just really admire people who are willing to open up that much on national television. Going back to the group date and the conversations, you can't have a group date without a little bit of drama. And we thought we got rid of all of that in the beginning of the episode, but us viewers, we know better because we've seen everything that's been going on. They just see Matt talking to MJ, and he said, your name was brought up, and you were the one causing this divide between the new girls and the old girls, like the original.
The JV and the varsity.
Yes. And then she's like, what? That's completely not okay. Like, didn't bring up what she might have said, was just like kind of dismissed it. And then she got interrupted because Brittany came to talk. And so when she addresses everybody, Jasenia does say, yes, I said this because you said JV and varsity. So I'm not talking bad about you. Your actions are showing that for yourself. And I love the way she stuck up for herself. Like, go Jasenia, put that girl in place. During this date, after she gets addressed by him, the date ends, she addresses Jasenia, and Katie also chimes in. She's like, you are deflecting. You're deflecting. And she's like, I'm not deflecting. I lead by example. I've always been about peace and harmony. Meanwhile, her voice is like, here, talking about peace and harmony.
I think it's like a shame because, like, looking back to our week one when we first watched this season, I think all of us really liked MJ. We're like, oh my God, she's gorgeous. Her hair is beautiful. Like, we had all these positive things to say. And it just kind of goes to show that these girls, yes, they can be beautiful, but they are going to be they're not so beautiful on the inside. I noticed that from like literally even like Anna. I'm like, oh, some of these girls actually seem like they could be cool. Like in the first episode, and now like literally all the girls I thought were cool are either gone, or now I'm like, I like don't like them.
Literally, I mean, I think we got a few people right, definitely, but we weren't the only ones who thought that way about MJ. I think Nick Vile tweeted the same thing. Blake and Ashley she wrote about her Cosmo article that she does like every week. I didn't read it, but she did a tweet. She's like, what's everyone's thoughts about MJ? Because I'm really conflicted here.
I was just gonna say like she keeps saying like how this is like I don't know, like how she leads by example, whatever. But I just think her actions and her behavior is just so childish.
Mm-hmm.
And her little petty comment about the varsity and the JV, it's just like, are we still in high school? Like, we're grown now. We don't need to be making those little comments and like kind of like making a clique out of like these women that you don't even know.
Yeah. And even in the conversation she had with Jasenia, like approaching her, it was almost like she just seems like, I don't know the right word for it, but like she's too hot to trot. Like you can't tell her anything. Like she thinks she's above everybody else. She's on a whole other level. She's so mature. She's so this. But it's like, knock yourself down a peg, because literally if you hear Jasenia out and what she's saying, like she's not wrong. Did you say those comments? Are you going to address the comment you said to Matt? That's what he called you out for. He said you are part of the divide. You said this JV varsity comment. Are you going to own up to that? You have still not yet owned up to it. So yeah, you are lying. And I'm not putting your character on blast or like making you out to seem something that you're not. I'm just literally reiterating exact words you said.
Exactly.
So if you have a problem with what I mentioned, then your problem is really with yourself, because this is what you said and this is the actions you choose to have. These are your actions. And and it's like she's very much, I feel like when she was talking was reminding me of, what was that guy from last season that we kept talking about? The smart guy? Bennett, where it's like he's condescending.
But what I was gonna literally pinpoint was something that I wrote down when all that drama was happening. And this is how I just feel about not even just like that situation, but people in general when they are confronted
with something that they had said. And it's not even about like what's being said, it's how they react, right?
Mm.
So what I wrote down is when someone says something about you to someone else and you react in the way like say like the same way that MJ reacts. Like if you give a reaction that's super negative, it's either for two things. One, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is true, and now you're reacting in the way that you're reacting. Or two, it's because whatever is being said is making you feel insecure. And unfortunately, both of those things are true for MJ.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say about this, we can move on to Kid State because I feel like we're beating a dead horse, is I think everything that's gone on as far as drama has just been so petty. Instead of opening up about what's been going on, and maybe she did and we're just not seeing it, I think she could have saved this whole conversation. Obviously, have your beef out with Yesenia. Do that. Get it over with. Do whatever you got to do. But I just feel her conversation with Matt was so like, what? Like, that is so not my vibe. That's so not me. And whatever. But just say it. You're on TV. Everything's being recorded. You said a sly comment. And he isn't even mad at you. Because if he was mad at you, he would have said, like, I'm really upset with you. And he's like legit open to hearing you out. And you're just not even like trying to be open about not even just your conversation. Because she wasn't the only girl that said something like that. Like multiple women were joking about it after that. Just again, nothing but drama. What did we learn about NJ? Did they open up? No, we didn't learn anything. What did we learn about Yesenia? We didn't learn anything about these girls because it's just surrounded by drama. And then we're graced with little Kit's presence, and their date is cute, I guess, like very homey. No, you're on mute.
Good, because I kept interrupting. Better for myself. I was like, that mute button saved me. Yeah, it lasted literally 6 minutes. I think reality wanted it like the shortest one-on-one date we've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, does that make us hopeful for Kit in the future? Like, yeah, they had a good connection, but I mean, I don't think any of us walked away thinking they were going to be man and wife after that date.
No.
They made like cute statements about each other, but if
and I noticed, sorry, Mel's, I noticed too, it wasn't all day. It was literally like dinner that they had. And I'm wondering why she got the like snugged on that. Like, what did they... Like, everyone always gets these luxurious dates. They go on an adventure during the day, and then at night they have their dinner. Whereas this, like, when she got to his house, it was already dark. And we know the sun sets around 5. So it was already later.
I personally just think it's because the whole date surrounded around dinner. Like, we literally see Kit crying about her date card because she loves to cook in the kitchen so much.
I mean,
it was super cute. It was like a super cute moment. I'm just trying to like poke fun at her, but so like I feel like that's honestly why. Like, what else were they gonna like do during the day? Like go to the farmer's market and get that. Honestly, would have been cute.
Yeah,
I would have been cute. They can't really go anywhere. They can't
with
really
their masks on.
True, but I mean, I'm happy that it was like a date that she liked because obviously it showed that like he listens. And
the producers listen.
Right. He listens.
And she's like, oh my God, if we do this, that means he was really listening. Girl, everyone's listening. You have a microphone on. Like, someone's going to take note of what you like.
Well, isn't it crazy how this, like, master manipulation is being done and you, like, don't even know?
I guess so.
I mean, I don't know. Not master manipulation. I'm not trying to be all crazy, but like,
no, it's a mass manipulation.
They have to plan these out, and the producers are usually the ones that have to schedule it all. So
I didn't even think about that too.
The ending for this episode was absolutely trash. Like, were they even trying? The first whole rose ceremony and before that, nothing added up in the sounds. Even when Victoria was off camera and they have her, they kept adding in the effing losers, and it was literally like a whole different like key as to how she's talking.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about what she said when she left.
Well, we didn't even talk about even their conversation, I feel like. I mean, we did, but we didn't. Like, it was just so, again, back to like what I was saying with MJ.
I don't want to give that girl any more attention.
Say you did it. Say you said something. Like, what's the big deal?
I think she said, like, I feel sorry for you. And I was like,
it really reminded me of
I can't believe
like having a mental breakdown.
And then she goes, I'm never dating a Matt again. I'm never dating anyone named Matt. And then there was like a tweet or someone like, congratulations to all Matts everywhere. Like, I cannot.
But anywho, Kit's date wraps up. And then, really, it does, don't they give Yesenia and MJ like the card, like, hey guys, like, meet me before the cocktail hour. And again, we're left with another freaking episode without a rose ceremony, and I'm really getting pissed about this, because for those of us that don't want to keep watching, we have to, because we need to know who gets it home and gets to know what happens. And they show a clip of them, like, it ends essentially with them on the couch just repeating the same 3 sentences over and over and over again. And honestly, my idea and opinions toward Yesenia when they were actually on the group date and her standing up for herself compared to like now, it's just like, I feel bad for her because she's just beating a dead horse. I'm so happy she hasn't given up this fight, but it's like, is it really that deep?
Not worth
like,
it.
Let's move on. Come on.
They can't now because
now, they're pinned against.
I think that's where I kind of I felt for her, because it's like, I said this one comment and now look where I got her. But no, like, stick to your guns. Don't just be like, because I think it's so easy in scenarios to feel threatened or to feel intimidated when someone's like, why'd you say this about me? Blah, 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 and like talking down at you. And then you're just like, oh my God, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. Like, I didn't mean it like that. I was simply just said, like, she could have easily like coiled up and done that. But she's like,
well, and I was even thinking just now too, like, how would I actually do this? You want to know what I would do? I'd be like, listen, I did say that, but you have to understand where I'm coming from in that sense. We've been here now for a couple of weeks. We've all had this bond with you, right? And these girls are coming in and they're getting these one-on-one dates. They're stealing more attention from you. And that's not, like, the goal for us is to get more attention. And as soon as people leave, there's more people coming back in. And it's like, we're the A team, they're the B team. And it's a joke. Like, it's funny, but we all feel like we're being kind of getting the short end of the stick here. Like, we've been forming a relationship with you and it feels like, well, you don't really like us.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Al. I also just think that, I mean, to all the girls that are saying something, it's time that people get called out for their crap. Like, stop being a bully. It's not cool. You're 20-something years old. Like, knock it off. You need to grow out of it at some point. And I feel like in the past, people don't call, I mean, they do call it out, but it's not very common that people do get called out and then like, and stick with it. You know, like, oh, I'm going to call you out, but then I'm going to take it back. It's like, no, like Amelia said, like, stick with it, call them out, and like, get them out of here.
All right. So anyways, the show ends on that cliffhanger. Who's going to get sent home? Honestly, I think they're both going to stay. What do you guys think? I think he's going to be like, okay, well, I need more time to think about it.
No,
I think MJ's going home.
Yeah,
I think they might both go home.
That's what I was thinking too, Lex.
What I wanted to bring up with this 2-on-1 thing is, it started like last season where they're not really doing 2-on-1 dates anymore. It's like, hey, let's meet before the cocktail ceremony, because that's what she did with Bennett and Noah too, and she ended up saying Bennett home. So I think this kind of replaces the 2-on-1. And I saw Sean and Catherine talking on their Instagram stories, and she asked Sean, like, do the producers pick who goes from the 2-on-1 date? And he says, yes, they do. Like, we don't get to pick. Like, they have that planned. But then she also kind of stood up for production a little bit, saying, and I know all this drama is coming out about like production having a whole hand and everything. She's like, but also everyone on that show is adults. So if you don't want to listen to what people are telling you to do, you don't have to do it. Like, Like accountability, and I think that's what we're missing in this season is where's accountability for anybody for any of the actions. We haven't been seeing that. The one comment I wanted to highlight on Jasenia was she's like, you said it, and literally like you're this, like there's 3 sides of you, and you'll see it when this whole thing airs because we see it.
I loved when she said that. I was like, yes, queen.
And now MJ's seeing it. And that's why MJ's writing at Instagram apologizing after every episode. Because she apologized when Sarah's episode aired.
Anywho, it ends. The clips for next week look good. Someone, I can't remember who, is like ripping Katie and you BH.
Serena.
Like saying, like, you're
Serena.
Like,
oh,
like
yeah.
you're
Serena
starting
C.
all of this.
She's next.
And
she's next.
maybe we could save this conversation for next episode, but in the comments, if you guys are actually this far, I want to know your opinions on Katie going to Matt, because I didn't really feel strongly about it before, but now that it's escalating and kind of lingering a little bit is longer than I would like, I'm wondering if you were in Katie's shoes or any of these women's shoes, would you bring this to Matt's attention or would you let the women hash it out? Leave a comment below, or don't, because no one will. It's fine. But anyways, now we're going to go ahead and get into all of the tea.
Okay, but like what I wanted to get into, kind of just talking about like so much stuff that's been going on in Bachelor Nation, because I feel like a lot of stuff has been dished out and I need a bunch of comments. I need everyone's thoughts on what's just been going on. I mean, I have like some receipts. I saw 2 different things. So one, apparently when Katie first confronted Matt about everything that was happening with Brittany and the comments about her being an escort, even though that like wasn't fully disclosed, apparently Rachel even brought up about the house being toxic to him as well. We didn't like see Rachel talking to Matt, but he did say that like in an interview, I think with like ET, Entertainment Tonight. That's what happened. And then I don't know if it's like familiar with you guys, but in Bachelor Nation in general, I remember like when I was in my class, we talked about Reality Steve a lot. And Reality Steve is pretty much just like a blog with this guy who posts a bunch of different spoilers about each season, like literally before everything even airs. And yeah, just talking about how this season has had like a super high like viewing rates, even though there's just like so much negative connotation around this entire season. So I just thought that like that was interesting to mention too. Like we're literally a subject of that freaking count of people who are watching and hating it at the same time.
Well, I think you brought up a good point though. Go ahead, Al.
I was going to talk about, I'm not sure if Lux is going to have anything else to say.
No, go ahead.
About Dylan wanting to air out just ABC's dirty laundry and with like Bachelor, and he pretty much said like, you know, why do we as people of like subject to this franchise, whatever, why do we keep feeding into it? Why do we keep, you know, watching? And it's like, well, we're in a pandemic, got nothing else to do. Yeah. But he's like, we're condoning this behavior, you know, this bullying, and I think he's friends with Heather, so he's like, if anyone comes after Heather, like he's like, I'm gonna like raise hell. And he pretty much like, people are asking him like what really happened, and he was like, you know, producers do play a big part, and like how we talked about earlier, you know, the manipulation and whatnot. It's like they really do have a big say in who stays and who goes. Mm-hmm. And he brought up like Jed and Jed
and Hannah.
Yeah, and how like that wasn't really true. And it's like, well, what do we, you know, as viewers, we don't really know. Yeah, what is the truth?
Yeah, and it's, I think.
Well, he brought up that Jed did not cheat on her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, and his comments made a few other people in Bachelor Nation also speak up, or people were asking them questions like, oh, do you agree with Dylan? And they're like just like saying yes, or like praising him for coming out and saying that. A lot of his tweets were deleted, so if you go back and look at it, it might not make sense, but basically Alex did a great sum up of it. One thing to mention too in his replies is he talked heavily about mental health and how he's seen so many of his friends and like colleagues go on the show and suffer afterwards, and then agents do nothing about it even when people ask. Like they receive so much bullying and hatred and all this on top of all this other stuff, and no one helps them with their mental health afterwards, and that is a huge issue. And he also mentioned, I think, how they bring Rachel on the show after one season, I don't know whose season it was, to address the bullying, as if that's going to stop or solve anything.
Exactly. Oh my God.
They condone bullying because they continue to edit the show a certain way, villainizing certain people, changing the narrative of certain situations to be dramatic.
Yeah. And I'm happy that like you literally just like pinpointed all those things. Because, guys, like, literally everything that he was kind of saying and preaching, and a bunch for other people, like, from the franchise, just, like, kind of, like, airing out dirty laundry. Guys, literally, when I was in, like, my Bachelor class, we were doing this, like, weekly with people from the franchise. Like, when you mentioned, like, the mental health, like, we had Blake talk about how he suffered like with his mental health for a while, not only just after Becca's season, but after Paradise, and how that kind of affected him. And then literally talking about how like when Rachel went on to like about bullying and how it's like not condoned, when literally the whole franchise enforces bullying between all contestants at all times and keep feeding them information that isn't 100% true. Like everything's just this little puzzle, and every person's just a piece in this little like game and kind of like fantasy world that they try to make up.
And it makes me think, even before we even started filming this episode, I really thought to myself, like, could they ever do a season where they don't highlight on the negative and they just show the positive, like, and they just focus on the relationships, focus on like getting to know the people, and make it really about the love and not about like all this other petty stuff? Can they do that and be successful? And I think that's something that might be like a weird science experiment for them to do. But I think if they really did do that, more people might be inclined to watch. But I don't know, because like it's like you mentioned, this is the highest viewer rate, and it's because of the drama. It's just sad that that's what entertains us.
I was gonna say, like, I'm not entertained by the drama. Like, I mean, I barely even watched this episode, to be honest, because I was like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm all here for whether you want to add drama, whether you want to get more deep and like personal and highlight the good of all these people. But I think the issue is it's not reality TV. You know what I mean? Like, you're missing a big chunk of why people are crying, why people are upset. And although I do think we could be harping on more positives this season, I think now that they've gotten rid of the people that were essentially causing it, like, I think moving forward, we're going to start seeing everyone in a more positive light, which is nice. I just think in general, it has to be a balance of the two. You have to show the BS and the like nice, humble brags that everyone's talking about as well.
For sure. I think they just carried it on for too long.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that, like, you let it go on for too long, ABC. Like, what are you going to do about it? And then going back to mental health, what are you going to do about when these contestants are getting bullied online? Are you going to be there to have their back? Are you going to, like, pay their bills for their therapy?
Just in the real world, like, things people say obviously affect us, right? Like, some stranger, whatever, can say something mean or nice to me, and it either makes or breaks my day. But coming off of this, some of these, and I would say probably most of these people, are getting a huge following, And it's not always good. Like, you could be the most perfect person. Someone's still going to hate on you. And how do you deal with that? I don't think it has anything to do with the production. I think they should do like a behind the scenes of like, where are they now? How they do on some shows? Like, what are the resources available to these people? And hopefully after him saying all that stuff, maybe the Women Tell All, they'll provide like a mental health check or something and include that in the contract. And honestly, I think especially now where our mental health is so important because we're so closed off from our normal worlds and even just work and family and the things that you would take for granted normally. Like, no one wants to go to work, but like now I want to go to work. But it's just, I really hope nothing necessarily changes with the production of it all, because I think that's what their job is, right? Like, any TV person's job is to make it entertaining, whether it's bad, whether it's good. I think moving forward, I hope that they highlight more of like the behind the scenes and what are they doing to give back and what are they offering these contestants.
I think when I talk about like production, it's not just editing, okay? Like, and we talk about this so much, like production has a hand in a lot more than just what they film and then what they choose to show on TV. They have a hand in what people are saying, what people are doing, what questions they're asking them, how, like, what environments they're putting these contestants in. Like, that is all by the hands of production. So it doesn't start with just editing. It goes deeper than that, where it's when you're actually in that house, is production condoning an environment of bullying, of toxicity, of all those things? If that needs to be stopped, yes, you can't like control how people react or how people talk. Like, you can't control people's actions all the time. But when you see someone acting inappropriately, instead of feeding into it, you say, if you keep acting like that, you're going to be kicked off the show, kind of things. Like every other reality TV show, when they're
changing
love, there's rules and guidelines you have to follow, and you can't be a bully.
I mean, Amelia, you literally like pinpointed it like almost like nail on the head. And honestly, like all the things you guys are just saying, like I literally already had like the answers to because I had to do like extensive research on this stuff. Like, and I feel like that, Amanda, like when you mentioned like the mental health thing, you're just like having resources for these contestants, like it's scarce. Like, they don't have these resources for contestants, and it shows. Like, it's already been talked about in a bunch of my discussions how they're not taken care of on the show and after. Like, it stinks. But the way I think about it is this show has been on for like almost 2 decades now. The format has changed, yes, but just think, they still have the viewership that they've had from 2 decades ago. So why are they now going to change anything that they've been doing thus far if it's been so successful for them at this point? I just want us to fester that for a minute. Like, they are not going to change anything because they are continuing to make money. We are going to continue to watch, and it's just that vicious cycle.
Well, you could also say, like, if you have faith in society, I guess it's like the saying, like, if it's not broke, why fix it? But the people are coming off that show broken, so you need to fix them. Like,
you need to fix something.
I think that's a great way to end this.
And also, like, I mean, no offense, like, yeah, this show is kind of old. People are getting older. They're gonna die. They're gonna lose viewers. They're gonna. I mean, like, they're going to do
something.
You need to change something to reach a younger audience, and that's why they're bringing in younger people, because they're trying to get, all right, we gotta like get to younger 20-year-olds, So, I mean, I don't know.
It's what are we also as viewers willing to consume?
Yeah.
So,
right.
It goes both ways. And
think about what you're watching.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it. Again, I'm really proud of Dylan and anybody in the franchise who, and a lot of the reason why he spoke up is because everyone says his contract's over. You have like
a year.
A year before you can actually speak out against the show. So I think once more people get more comfortable after their contracts, you see these things appear. So if you ever disgruntled anybody, feel free to always speak up and speak your truth. Don't feel like you should ever be silenced, no matter how powerful people are. And if you guys
have
what?
Go ahead.
I would say if anyone has any comments about the recent drama, where your stance is on all this, please leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear. And continue to tune in, because I think this isn't going to end. We have more drama coming next week, but always remember, be nice and don't do shady stuff or else.
Literally the past 3 episodes you've been like,
Be nice.
just be nice. How about just like don't start beef with people like you've only known for 3 weeks? I don't know.
Oh, whatever. We're all guilty of it. So
comment, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and tune in every week to the Bachelor TCAP.
Also, we know we've been getting requests to film more one-off normal videos. So hopefully once this Arctic tundra passes us, we can all hang out again after the amount of snow we've received. So more videos on the way. And like Alex said, like, comment, subscribe for more great content.
Yay. We love you. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.